If you've been playing Final Fantasy Tactics for a while, you've probably gotten some characters up to level 99. But what you may have noticed is that not all of the characters' stats are quite the same. Some characters have higher HP, some have higher MP. This isn't random chance or some characters getting lucky. Not all characters grow up the same. If you're looking to increase the stats of all your characters, whether special or generic, stay tuned, because we're going to go over how stats work and how to power level your characters to make them as powerful as possible. Hi, I'm Mikey from Final Fantasy Tactics Live Tournament. Today we're going to be getting into kind of an advanced topic, and that is how stats affect your character's growth depending on what job you are. There will be links to my sources that I've used to compile this explainer in the description below, as well as some spreadsheets that are handy references just so you get an idea of how generic and special characters grow. If you're the type of player that just wants to be told, tell me what to de-level as and level up again as so I can increase my stats as quickly as possible, I got you covered. Go ahead and skip ahead a couple chapters and I lay out all the classes you need to be to maximize your stats. But if you're the kind of player that wants to get a little bit of peek under the hood into the mechanics of the game, let's get into it, shall we? So today, we're going to be talking about 5 stats. That's going to be your HP, your MP, your speed, your physical attack, and magic attack. We're not going to be talking about your class evasion or any other evasion stats that are affected by your equipment. When you go to the character screen and these 5 stats display a number, that number is called your final stat and is reflective of a much larger number that has had all kinds of formulas and dividers and multipliers applied to it to create this final stat. And don't worry, we're not going to get into the arithmetics of all of these stats and multipliers and dividers. Just know that your raw stats are a huge number and your final stats are what you see on your character select screen. The ultimate goal will be to pump up your raw stats as high as possible. So today, to help us explain how stats work, we're going to create a character called Blanky. And Blanky doesn't have any job whatsoever. He also has 100 HP, 100 MP, 10 speed, 10 physical attack, and 10 magic attack to help us explain and break down the numbers a little more easily. There are 2 ways that your job affects your final stats. One is called your class stat, and the other is a growth stat. Let's talk about class stats first, since you can see their effects immediately upon switching jobs. Let's say we wanted to switch Blanky into either a squire or a monk. And let's concentrate just on the HP stat. Now the squire has a class HP stat of 100, and the monk has a class stat of 135. What this means is that if Blanky switches to a squire, he will retain 100% of his current HP stat. Whereas if he switches to a monk, he'll get a 135% bonus. We can continue this on to another class, let's say a black mage, where he has an HP penalty of 75 for his class stat. But he has 150 for his magic attack class stat. Blanky switching to a black mage will net him 75 HP, but 15 magic attack. Now, growth stats are similar to class stats, except it depends on what job you are at the moment you level up. You'll notice as you level your characters up, you'll get HP and MP every level. Yet, your physical attack and magic attack doesn't grow as fast, maybe a point every 5 levels or so, or less. Speed is even slower, maybe getting a point every 20 levels or so. Now, different jobs have different growths for all of these 5 stats. The lower the stat, the faster that stat grows when you level up, gaining a larger bonus to your raw stat pool. Let's take a look at the Bard, who has a class growth stat for their HP of 20. meaning their bonus will not be as large to their raw stat pool when you level as a bard, compared to when you level as a mime, who has an HP growth stat of 6, who will get a much larger bonus to their raw stat pool. Now it's time to tie everything together through the de-leveling and re-leveling process. De-leveling occurs if you're unfortunate enough to step on a degenerator trap, permanently lowering your level by 1. A monster called a Mind Flayer can also cast Level Flare on a character and permanently reduce their level by 1. De-leveling is important because just like leveling, where a growth stat gives you a bonus to your raw stat pool, when you de-level, you get a penalty removed from your raw stat pool. This is the crux of boosting your stats in Final Fantasy Tactics. What you'll want to do is de-level with a growth stat that takes less of a penalty away, and then re-level with a class that adds more of a bonus back. If you've made it this far in the video, congratulations. That's pretty much all there is to it to power level your stats. It really is about de-leveling as the right job to save a lot of that raw stat pool, and then leveling as another job to increase that raw stat pool so that your final stats are as high as possible. Now let's get into exactly which jobs we should be to maximize these 5 stats. Starting with HP, you're going to want to de-level as a bard or a dancer, and then re-level as a mime. For MP, you'll want to de-level as a bard or a dancer, and re-level as a summoner. For physical attack, you'll want to de-level as a bard or a female chemist, and re-level as a mime. For magic attack, you'll want to de-level as a bard or a dancer, and re-level as a mime. For speed, de-level as a bard or a dancer, and re-level as a ninja. There is a trick to use a true Onion Knight, a level 8 mastered Onion Knight, to level your characters with the best stat growth across the board. Now, Onion Knights do not gain experience from their actions, and you'll need to use a wild boar with an ability called Bequeath Bacon, which kills the wild boar but grants the target a level up. If you feel like taming that many wild boars, it may be worth it because you may only have to go through one re-leveling cycle to get maximum stats. Well, that's a wrap for today. It is a short one, but hopefully an informative one. I hope this gives you a little bit more insight into how characters can be de-leveled, brought back up again, so you get bigger and bigger characters and you can surmount bigger challenges. Challenges like rendezvous missions, where you need to play with a friend and it's certainly a tough battle. If you're more interested in PvP and you want to create a pre-made roster, de-leveling and re-leveling is a great way to fine-tune your stats so you have a more balanced choice of characters for you and your friends to choose from. As always, I'm looking to further the discussion, so if you have anything to add about how you manipulate your stats, throw them out in the comments below. And if you like this kind of content, give me a like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. Thank you for watching once again. This is Mikey from Final Fantasy Tactics Live Tournament signing off. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, be well everyone.